Right, super. Okay, I think we will get going. It's the 6th of November, and welcome to the OpenChain Education Work Group meeting. As ever, since this is a Linux Foundation event, I'm displaying the Linux Foundation Antitrust Policy Notice. If you take a moment to read this, if you're unable to comply with its terms, if you could please drop off now. If you have any questions about this, if you're a Linux Foundation member, you can direct them to Andy Updegrove at Gizmo Updegrove, or alternatively, you can ask your own in-house legal function. Right, everyone's still here. I take that as being good news. A little bit of sort of background info. Stephen and I have just got back from our travels to Tokyo and Beijing. So we went to the Open Compliance Summit, but we only got back yesterday. So we are feeling a little bit jet lagged. So apologies if the level of coherence is not up to the standards that you have got to know and love. But we've got a few things to run through today. So let's give you a progress report on the capability model. We launched that at the Open Compliance Summit. There was a lot of interest. We had some really good conversations with people about it. And then we're planning on moving forward on that, another public event. So we talked about this probably sort of at and around FOSDEM. So that's going to be beginning of February next year. We've asked people to make supporting documentation available, and we've also we've been asked to make supported documentation available, including a user guide to benchmarking and a user guide for road mapping. And one thing that we will be doing also is to ask anyone who's able to volunteer for translations, particularly for the Asian markets as well. That would be fantastic if they could get involved in that. That would be superb as well. In an ideal world, what we would like to do is to get a set of collaborators together. We can work on this and actually try running this through their organization as a form and generate some case studies through this. So anyway, you know where to find us. Please let us know if you're interested in doing that. And as ever, there is the URL for the capability model as it stands at the moment. So it's a living document. Sort of things are happening in the background all the time. But bottom line is we got some really good feedback from it. People like it a lot. So we've now got a sort of clear roadmap to where we want to go to the next stage on that one. Here's the timeline. Sorry, this is a slide from last session. So we're basically sort of version 1 now. The alpha version has been launched in Tokyo, as I mentioned. So over the course of the next couple of months, 2 to 3 months, the idea is to test deployments and work with early adopters. And we want there to be ongoing feedback available as well. Stephen, I don't know if you want to sort of add anything to that.
No, just echoing your point in terms of the conversations. A lot of people really welcomed the capability model idea. There was actually some very positive comments saying, it would be really good to have something that's recognised as a strong benchmark, as a standard to be achieved, which sort of was interesting compared to our sort of original position that we maybe need to sort of play it down a bit, make it low key in terms of whether this sort of capability model is setting a standard, and it's rather an education tool to help people implement and improve. And I think we should keep the focus on that
Yes.
latter emphasis. And one of the requests was that we sort of put some documentation together that explains how you might use the tool to build a roadmap of how you might develop the program, and that was sort of latched onto quite strongly. So I think it really comes down to that question of if we can find some other early adopters who want to have that work involved and to turn into a a case study rather than having just a theoretical stuff to talk about, which obviously there's live capability modeling work going on in client assignments, but having something which could be shared as a case study would be really useful. So I don't know, Andrew, what we need to do in terms of perhaps generating some emailing some people or some contact, or sort of trying to hunt down some people who would be interested in joining this. Obviously, it'd be great if people see this and want to join in. That'd be great,
Yeah,
but I think we might need to do something a
absolutely.
bit active and see how we can get
Yeah.
some people to join
Yeah.
us.
Okay. Well, I think the sort of two obvious things we can do is, first of all, I'll draft something and put that on the OpenChain mailing list, so that goes out to everyone, not just the education work group, but to everyone. And then I'll also have a word with Shane about it and ask whether he can mention it in the various introductions that he's doing to sort of various online events, webinars, etc. Just point people in the right direction if they want to get involved as well. But if anyone's got any other ideas, obviously we'd be very happy to hear them. Super. Yeah, so as I say, the timeline is, we hope to have a sort of further launch at or around FOSDEM. I mean, there's a number of events around FOSDEM, not just FOSDEM itself. So whether it will be specifically at FOSDEM or maybe a day or two before, a day or two after, but we'll make sure that it's clear when that's going to happen as well. And then we've identified one possibility is also to launch really what we hope to be a release version at Fossback stage in Germany, and that will be the 10th of March. But again, if anyone has any alternative suggestions for appropriate venues, it will be good to hear them as well. But that seems to make sense to us at the moment. Okay.
I think then, just in terms of practicalities of finishing the document off, I think we've pretty much been through the comments that we've had so far. There were some people at the summit in Tokyo who offered some more input. Things like the role of champions, for example, was seen as something that was actually quite important, and sort of a level of maturity and delivery which we need to work through. And there were other people who had developed their own capability model, and they were offering to bring that through. So it'd be really great if those bits can come forward, and we can update the model as we go. Then the effort will need to move towards the documentation and sort of user guides, how-tos, how to use this. And I think we've got some material we can adapt, but it'd be great to get some other contribution to that.
Yeah, excellent. Right, thank you, Stephen. Okay, so I'm really pleased with the progress on that one, and that's great news, and it's good to have a bit of a roadmap so we know where we're going to be heading next. So the other thing that we've been involved with are the explainers. Martin has done some more excellent work on these, and so I've put a link down there to sort of his tidied up versions of these. Having had a look through the most sort of current versions earlier today, I think they're all looking really good. And Martin, I don't know if you want to sort of say anything about these.
I'm not sure that I do. Yeah, I pretty much just merged in your suggested changes. Some of it I didn't merge in based on the conversations we had about the PWE statistic and stuff like
Yes.
that.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
there were minor changes I made. Some I did include, like well adopted, and for some I didn't. Can't remember which, for example, because I think probably not for the HR department, because who in
Yeah.
HR really cares whether the standard is adopted or not? It's not
Yes,
really
exactly,
their concern.
exactly.
So I did
Yeah,
make
yeah.
so there are a few differences between them, and I added the HR department one as a new one
Yeah.
based on it, and that was just my thoughts as what could go in there. So yeah, it's largely based on the input from the two of us, Andrew, plus a few comments that we had before. So as long as we're comfortable that people have had a chance to look at it and
Yeah.
comment, then I'm okay with it, basically.
Yeah,
We need to finish at some point, so
we do. So my proposal is that we say that what we have there now are the release candidates, and we maintain a comment period open for 14 days from today. And if we don't have any comments, then we'll officially launch them, and then I'll have a word with Shane. We'll put a call out. Anyone who wants to translate them, then we'll be very pleased to have translations, and we can sort of maintain them all in the same place so we can find them easily.
Should we ask Shane to merge that branch in first and then launch
Yes.
14-day? I think that's probably best, and then people can comment directly
Yeah.
against and create branches if needed.
Yeah, that would be perfect. Yes, excellent. And I think so, Stephen, sort of based on the conversation that you and I had earlier. So I think what we can usefully do is to use this format to also create an explainer for the capability model as well. And I think that sort of could be useful for people when they're addressing that.
Yeah. Okay.
Right. Okey-doke. And then one other proposal that we've had is, I mean, one of the things that came out of the Open Compliance Summit were case studies, and people were sort of starting to, talk a lot more about their journey towards compliance. And what was interesting is that different companies' approaches have been very different. They've had very different journeys. Um, and I mean, I know that case studies are something that the OpenChain project was very keen on collating back in the early days, and there are actually quite a few case studies sort of dotted around the OpenChain website and sort of number of other places. But the sort of the proposal is basically to first of all generate a few more case studies, and we will be able to generate those if we get involvement, and specifically as far as the capability model is concerned, but also the general progress towards compliance as well would be useful. So what we want to do is sort of encourage people to come up with more case studies, but also just to review what we have already and coordinate them, so it's easy to find them as necessary. So any sort of comments on that as a proposal?
Yeah, I see, Krishna, you're on the call. I can't recall. I remember we did something related to SMEs. Was that kind of a case study? I can't remember what we called it and where it went.
Yeah, unfortunately, I'm not able to recall where we put that, but yes, definitely we did work on a small topic there about how the SMEs would be handling the cases
Oh, okay.
in different scale of companies. Yeah, but the
It
document is lost.
is it was a playbook or something, I think it was called. I
Yes,
can't
yes.
remember.
So there are two playbooks already available on the GitHub, which Shane worked with other participants. The one is so what we worked on was a small scale company playbook, or no, small scale playbook was put together by Shane. We worked on a large scale playbook, large scale company playbook. That a part of it should be available on GitHub. Let me search again, and I will share the link. And then we wanted to start working on a medium scale company playbook, which would be an amalgamation of small and large, just to put it across over there.
Yeah, so I'm not sure whether we should continue those or whatever, but we probably should bear those in mind because we might end up with things which are not consistent anyway. So
yeah, exactly. So I think it sort of makes sense to sort of track down what we've got already. Yeah, if sort of anyone finds some stuff, if they can pop it on the list, I'll ask Shane to look at that as well, and then we can revisit this in the next meeting when we've actually got some got a bit of a handle of what materials we have. But no, that's a very good point.
And I'm sure, assuming that you're thinking hypothetical use cases, case studies, not real companies' case studies.
I think it depends. I mean, we are clearly going to have sort of issue getting some companies to reveal sort of details. So I appreciate that. I mean, I did have a sort of a proposal a while ago that people can submit their case studies and they can be anonymized, or they can submit them anonymously. But I think people are still sort of fairly uncomfortable about doing that. It's a bit difficult to release information anonymously without actually giving away enough information to be useful. But at the same time, a lot of that's going to be identifying. So I can see that's a challenge. Yeah, no, that's an interesting idea actually. So sort of pure hypotheticals. I mean, they may well have some value as well. So I think. Oops, sorry. Go ahead.
Uh, yeah, sorry, I interrupted. I was having this one discussion with a very interesting team. So this team, they work more on Gen AI technology.
Mm-hmm.
So we were discussing on a situation where there will be a lot of teams that work on developing such certain programs or algorithms which build statistical data or
Yep.
that uses Gen AI to do predictions and all those things. And they want to figure out where exactly do they fall in the supply chain because they never interact with B2B or B2C. They are suppliers of intermediate technology, right?
Yeah.
So
Mm-hmm.
they want we were when we were discussing this, they wanted to understand where do they fall in the supply chain and how do they adhere to compliance? What exactly do they provide? Because they're not providing the code itself, but rather they're providing
Yes.
some end product which generates another intermediate data. So how is this relevant in open source compliance realm? So this is a discussion which we were having. It was quite an interesting topic as
Yeah.
this is
Yeah.
going to be situation that's going to raise more and more in the upcoming days.
Yeah, no, agreed. That's really interesting. Yeah, thanks, Balakrishna. Yeah, yeah, that's definitely something that we need to consider.
I mean, if there's I can understand it, the challenge of having something that's attributed, and a lot of material that, or all the material that some of the course is under Chatham House rules, so we can't use that without conversations with people. So it may be another way to look at it. We could maybe do sort of case studies which sort of amalgamate people's user experience across a particular topic. So that you could say, well, this is how culture change has been addressed, or this is how large scale compliance automation. So these were some of the talks that were at Summit. But we could have sort of conversations with a range of people and make a case study which then isn't attributable, but also does address a topic that is relevant and pertinent and interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I mean, I think if the sort of general consensus that this is a useful thing to work on, then as I say, we can collate some more of the information that we've got during the course of the next month, and talk about this in a bit of a greater depth at the next meeting, if that makes sense.
Yes, sounds good.
Excellent. Right. Thank you. Good. So I've been galloping through this fairly rapidly because I am feeling very jet lagged, and so I'm not sure I've got sort of huge amount additional to add to this meeting. But I will throw open the floor to anyone else that thinks this is a topic that we need to talk about right now. So any other business?
Right. So I've not been very active in the capability model meetings, and I would like to participate more and more in the education meetings henceforth. And I've been participating only from last couple of them. I was absconding for the last 2 years, right? So I
Yes.
just wanted
Yeah.
to know since the capability model, has reached a certain level of maturity, will it be open for comments and reviews sometime soon, or is that happening?
It's open for comments now. So I put this sort of link in the yeah, there we go. So that Google link at the bottom where it says progress report, that's a link to the
Awesome. Yeah.
capability model itself. So Balakrishna, I mean, as ever, your sort of comments and observations would be very much appreciated. No, if you do have some time to have a look at that, and just use the Google comment function to sort of comment on anything that you think is relevant, then that will be very much appreciated. Thank you.
Definitely. My new organization has given me a full-on green flag for me to participate in OpenChain
Excellent.
again. So hence I'm
Excellent.
back.
Yeah, good news. Good news. Brilliant. Fantastic.
That's excellent. Yeah, and we have Christian, we sort of the timeline is to sort of launch and announce it, but with the deliberate intention of getting further consultation and
Yes.
it's a further input. So it's it's developed to a level where we think it's sensible and credible, and there's enough interest out there, but it's not closed by any stretch of the imagination.
Yeah, exactly.
Awesome. Thank you.
Brilliant. Right. Lovely. Okay. Well, thank you very much indeed, everyone, for your participation. It's been a sort of relatively speedy meeting today, so I hope that's all right. But you can have the rest of your day back again. I think the next meeting is planned for the 4th of December. But as ever, if you go onto the OpenChain project website, you'll see that there's a timeline on there that contains all of the various OpenChain events, webinars, etc. So details will be on there, including the joining link. So thank you very much indeed for your participation, and we will continue the conversation on the mailing list. Yes, I will wish you all a goodbye, and yeah, enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you very much indeed. Goodbye.
Thank
for
you.
now.
Speedy recovery from jet lag. Bye-bye.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Bye.